Alright guys, time for a quick YouTube video. I can't get OBS to work, or rather I can't get my Focusrite program to work. I have to restart the computer and I don't want to do that, so I'm just going to be doing this with my camera. Then I can turn it to my face for those candid reactions to what I'm going to be doing here. Just very original. I'm going to be commenting on another person's YouTube video. Here we go. I'll turn this around. Here we go. It's a Hot Ones interview with Kristen Stewart and everybody's favorite pedophile. Alright. I've got this first clip up. I'll just push play here and you'll see what I'm talking about, how stupid this interview is.
By people are like, maybe they're hanging out at the airport or hanging out outside of restaurants. Do you have like a...
Now take a look at this. This has to be the most errored, fake attempts at applying whiteout as though there's flashes going off that I've ever seen. Like, you might ask yourself, why would Kristen Stewart need to fake paparazzi, right? That doesn't make any sense. I mean, you can clearly see here. I'll pause it a couple more times.
Do you have like a...
You know, it pops in and out all bizarre like that, doesn't it? It's really impossible, the angles there. As if there's some sort of obstructions, but really it's just the program failing to realistically render lighting, you know, as though camera flashes are happening at different angles. Because what they forgot is you need high definition video to do 3D flashes realistically, you know, in the 3D environment. So that's pretty stupid. Now, why would Kristen Stewart be faking such a thing?
Experiment that you're most proud of, some ruse that you've thrown them off the track over the years?
Move quickly. Watch them fall on their asses, which is like really funny. Direct them towards obstructions and then divert.
Boy, look at her hair. I've never seen her hair like that before. Oh yeah, watch her give some wise advice.
And then they run into them and they're like, oh!
She also likes to go all the time, which only porn stars do, and I've never seen her do that in an interview before. That's kind of odd, isn't it? She also talks about porn stars extensively in this interview about where she grew up and how supposedly it's all porn star area. Anyways, moving on to the next clip. Alright.
It just feels like a little...
Alright, there's her face there. Doesn't that look like the Kristen Stewart we all learned to make fun of for not being able to do anything but flick her hair? This is an older picture of her where it still looks like her, doesn't it? An older interview.
To carry on trying desperately to sound real when they're...
Oh yes, so real. Alright, next. Here she is, trying to claim that she's so hardcore that she eats loquats, you know, on the regular. You'll see here the loquats. She gets into it here.
Just a tiny bit of sugar, like whatever sort of warmer spices you like. And
I won't go any further. You can watch this interview for yourself. But suffice it to say, here we go. Loquats, it says here, are poisonous because they contain cyanogenic glycosides. In other words, cyanide. And everybody says, ooh, cyanide, that's what everybody uses to kill themselves, right? Except it's actually just a certain type of energy that is contained in a large amount of foods, and the supposed concentrate, which is a cayenne color, which is, of course, kind of bluish-green, you can actually get cyanide from cayenne, and it'll turn bluish-green once you've extracted it. It's not poisonous. It's just that it causes toxic failure in people's organs who have eaten too much refined processed foods. So she's pretending to be tough, even though at the beginning of this interview she admitted that she had to be real careful when making her new Charlie's Angels movie that popped out of thin air just a few days ago. Because if she accidentally hit one of the stuntmen too hard, it might destroy her entire body instantly. So I don't know if anyone's really going to be wanting to watch that movie now that she's admitted how lame it is already. Next.
Shadowed your experience of living as a public figure.
Alright, this one's especially egregious. You'll see here what me and my brother have been talking about for a long time now. No. Sentence first, verdict afterwards. You see, this quote here was brought by Kristen Stewart to the interview because, as everyone already knows, all interviews for the last few years, the person being interviewed is the one telling the interviewer what questions to even ask. So this is, just for keep in mind here, this is all a setup from her point of view.
Sentence first, verdict afterwards. Do you feel like that foreshadowed your experience of living as a public figure at all?
Yep, foreshadowed. Yep, check. Ooh, listen to her breathe in.
I definitely didn't get in it to be, like a famous person or like stroked for whatever cool things that you did and sort of admonished forever for any bad things that I did or whatever. It can be fun.
All right, here we go. My brother likes to point out that every single actress, and some actors too, who are, feeling like it, will cut their hair extra short and make it as white as possible. And often at the same time, you'll find they get, a pirate earring. Interesting combination. We've seen it with almost every single female celebrity in the last 8 years. Also, I would like to point out how pudgy her arm and forearm is, even though Kristen Stewart was always rail thin. It doesn't really make the tattoo look very convincingly the same as the real Kristen Stewart.
It can be weird, it can be fake, it can be real.
Yeah, it can be fake, it can be real. Yeah, who really gives a shit? After all, a little surgery and you can be who you want to be. But you don't want to be famous. You just want to take the place of a famous person. Right? Next. Here she is eating Da Bomb, the hot sauce that makes every grown man scream and cry.
Sweet, fine. Everything is always not as bad as I think, This always happens.
Yeah, isn't it interesting how when you live at the top of the hills in Southern California and everybody always babies you but tells you you're strong and fierce, it sure feels like life is tough all the time, but then you somehow get through each time. Amazing. Next.
Theoretically, drop trout.
Yes, here she's talking about a role she was doing for another famous lady. And she talks here about dropping her trousers
in front of her and really try and pull it out.
Yeah, what does she do? Oh, big mistake, fake Kristen Stewart. Didn't you know there's no such thing as internal clitorises that can be pulled out from the body? That's just a non-existent rumor, That wasn't supposed to be mentioned, bad move, till 2020. Because there's no such thing as penises on women, right? But it's just theoretical, so we're fine still.
She made me all the better for it. And the thing that I played her in, I loved it, and I would do it again.
All right.
Yes, she would. All right. Here's my final clip of the night when it comes to this stupid skank.
My voice has never sounded like that. Also, it's the back of your mouth that's...
Yes, her voice has never sounded like that. It couldn't be that it's not actually her and she's trying to voice act, but boy, I can't tell the difference because she always sounds exactly the same. This lady.
Sucks.
I think it's like the accumulation of all of these, Stacked.
Oh yeah, this is the handle it moment. She also admitted, I couldn't find it again in the interview, but you guys can find it, where she says that once you've gotten through the first 5 hot sauces that you're kind of on the back half and then you don't have to worry. Now I wonder what that means. It couldn't mean that I've seen in the last few years about over 50% of the interviews here, after you get past hot sauce number 5, they start either watering them down or putting fake cooler hot sauce in the bottles. And so it's really kind of despicable to put it the handle it moment right here when her acting is especially abysmal at pretending to be over hot. And remember, she was bragging about eating large amounts of cyanide from that fruit because she's so tough. OMG. Alright, moving on. here we have a little comment, if you can read that. It's from Travis Richardson. This was a guy who assaulted me and my brother just last Sunday. It took forever to load this notifications area that I hadn't opened all week. It took like 5-10 minutes, and then suddenly this comment popped up. Hey, what's up, guys? Love the podcast. Been following you guys for a while. Was wondering, what are you guys gonna do today? Yeah, I wonder what that's all about. It couldn't be that he was trying to bait us into learning information so he could attack us more readily. Illegally, by the way, entirely. But they changed it to 4 days ago, so it's okay, because that means it happened after we were attacked. Except that in the car, even though police are supposed to be the ones to transfer any, people under arrest to jail, instead, it was the bounty hunters transferring my brother from the hospital where he was suffering severe whiplash all the way over 45 minutes to the jail in the other county. Totally inexplicably, yet again, he's injured. Yet again, they do nothing at the hospital for it. But in the car over to there, Mr. Travis Richardson, same last name as us, by the way, what a coincidence. He admitted that he really watched Grant's YouTube videos. And that Grant asked him, well, how did you find my YouTube channel? After all, there's hardly anyone who even knows about it. And his response was, listen for this, guys, it was recommended to him by YouTube. Is he lying? I actually think he's telling the truth, because I've seen here in the notification, or in the up next area, our videos popping up even when we're watching other people's videos, but our videos will have a similar subject, so our videos are popping through. And yet somehow we still only have 2 to 20 views on these videos that are popping in as popular up next. Really peculiar, isn't it? Furthermore, it reminds me of the time when this all started, right after we got out of jail the first time, nearly starved to death. I went over to the public defender's office across the street from the jail, and I went in there and I interviewed Grant's supposed public defender, my brother, and he had to admit that he was the conflict of interest, and his boss had to remove him from the case because he was wearing a Legend of Zelda belt buckle. He admitted he had been cheating against us in video games. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, because this guy was so nuts. He was so spurged out. He must have had like a 75 IQ, super bloated, eyes crossed from heroin. Anyways, later that summer, he pulls up in front of us in the exact same car as us when we're taking a nap after delivering our produce to the local co-op. Same car. Public defender glaring at us while we're trying to sleep right and above our valley here at the lookout point. I look out my window to the side. There is the exact same scratches on his rear side, rear lights as us. The exact same scratches. And they're very peculiar. They were caused by a boat hitting into our car. The boat belonged to the same guy who, when we were being chased by undercover detectives who kept trying to ram us, back in 2017 for no reason, after they knew there was no reason to be following us. That guy's boat with the Don't Tread on Me flag actually is what hit our car when I was visiting his house later to thank him. And so this freak, who was then fired from the public defenders, had to show up and prove how tough he was by copying our exact car scratches. So that was pretty fascinating, I have to say. Now let me move on to another topic. Here we have a Simple Flips video. This was inserted, I've seen it before. People will hack into the stream, or not into the stream, however this Mario Maker works, and they'll have their levels obviously displayed to him, even though it's supposed to be randomized. So anyway, this particular video, the name of the video is for Mubarak. If we look up Mubarak, you'll see he was the Egyptian president for a long time, just before there was a fake military coup and total fascists took over the country for a few years. Then it went back to, not back, then Islamics took over from those fascists with a little more bloodshed. Then they ran out of steam, and now it's back to the fascists. Meanwhile, this guy, Mubarak, has been in and out of jail since 2011 for no goddamn reason. Just throwing him in there trying to kill him off as he reaches older ages. Alright, and then also we have Saad, which I assumed was for Bashar al-Assad. And so I looked up his name, and look at this. For some reason, this has happened a lot recently, Google, someone blocking Google, decided to only show a few images and 0 results for his name. I refreshed this page for quite a few minutes, and it just kept being blocked. Now come on down here. It says Mountain Home, Idaho as the internet address location. Now you see, the funny thing about that is I've seen it be in Caldwell, in Boise, and all different places. You see, what's going on is, ever since we've had internet here since the early 2000s, different companies, each time, they always have a tendency to say that our supposed IP address is being rerouted to random people's computers so they can make sure to block whatever troublesome stuff we're trying to look up that doesn't agree with their dictatorship. This has been going on continuously. 4 different internet providers. In fact, we have one internet provider, the previous one, SafeLink, who was so ridiculously corrupt that when the houses started emptying out in this valley in 2017, they actually had the gall to take their trucks into houses. It was mostly Mexicans doing this, just because this is Idaho and that's who they are. And they had taken all the expensive furniture out of the ancestral homes here in my valley. They were up in the hills by the side of one of the roads, up supposedly out of sight, but I could still easily see them. And they were moving all of this expensive, priceless furniture from one SafeLink truck that was rather huge, looked more like a moving truck, to another SafeLink moving truck. Awfully odd. Alright, well, let's continue back with this previous topic. It also says Osho on the end, so I really had to, be clever about this one to figure out who they were talking about. Turns out it's Baba Rajneesh, also known as Osho, and he taught that everything that religion and government does is a trap to cause lack of freedom. And so he likes to go on about, marriage is also such a thing, and it was invented by religious cults. Very interesting. Alright, let's go back over here. Now let's pay attention to the AMM. Now let's connect it to the Mubarak and the Saad. AMM, well, what does that make us think of? How about Amun-Ra, the oldest known religious figure out of Egypt, and Egypt is the oldest known civilization on the planet. And so, the interesting thing about it is, though, Amun-Ra was always spelled A-M-A-N or A-M-O-N, and yet here there's 2 M's. Now that's rather odd, because in the modern era, in order for people to pronounce it correctly, they started adding another M. In fact, my name is Ammon. A-M-M-O-N. Very interesting. Furthermore, if you go to Egypt or Japan or a number of other countries and you go to their city maps, their old ones they haven't updated, you'll see that there's swastikas that represent temples all over these cities, all over these nations, and many other nations, something you'll never hear about here in U.S. through internet search. It kind of reminds me of, let me type this in here, Isle of Man. The Isle of Man, here we go. Here we also have a spinning sort of setup, and I've seen other examples where there's sun wheels where they spin and they'll have kind of a swastika look and they'll be like 10 or 20 arms on it. It's a religion. It's an old religion. It has nothing to do with Nazis. Absolutely zero. That's a load of crap. So let me ask everybody here. At what point does it all fall apart? At what point do people get sick of the lies and abuse on everybody and say enough is enough? I'm going to end this little video here for the night on this final tab here. Q Talks. It's the latest software to supposedly chat with people on your computer without anybody else spying on you. But it's spelled T-O-X, like toxic. And if you recall, the previous program to replace Skype was called Discord. But now Discord isn't operating. And how long do you think till Toxic stops operating? These names are indicative of the problem of our society and the very energy pattern making up our universe. Hopefully things can improve. Otherwise, the planet is going to wipe us all out. And that, too, is the belief structure of the oldest religion on the planet from Egypt. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. Tune in next time. And don't forget to subscribe and say that you didn't. Yeah. See you later.